Let's meditate a little bit together and continue our exploration on the five aggregates. And today I thought we can work a little bit again on Vedana, on feeling. And as you might remember from last time, Vedana in Buddhism doesn't mean emotions. It means more the affective tone of experience, whether it's pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. And today we will particularly pay attention to the conditioned aspect of Vedana. How are the feelings conditioned? Conditioned by what? So for that purpose, let's get into our meditation posture. Close our eyes. We are sitting upright and relaxed. Our world of experience is based on the six senses: seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and thinking. And that's all we have to get in contact with the world. And each of these six senses are accompanied by feeling. Any moment they're seeing, there's some feeling coming along for the ride. Every moment there's hearing, there's a feeling coming along with that, either pleasant, unpleasant, or most often it's just neutral, neither pleasant nor unpleasant. Smelling, tasting, body sensations. They are also always accompanied by one or another type of feeling. The same for mind objects, memories, plans about the future. Whatever thought arises is accompanied by some type of feeling. So let us investigate into the seeing aspect. For that purpose, let us keep the eyes open. Let us open the eyes on whatever object you find in front of yourself. There's an experience of seeing. We're seeing colors and shapes. That's what the eyes see. And dependent on whether we like what we see, there's either pleasant feeling or unpleasant feeling, or neutral. You can change your vision to something else. You can pick up another object, look at that for a while, and see whether the feeling down changes. Is it still neutral? Or maybe it's slightly unpleasant or slightly pleasant, dependent on what we look at. If you like, you can turn your head left or right. For example, over here there's a flower arrangement. If you look at that vision, that sight, is it accompanied by pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral feeling? Feel free to look around. and notice the difference in quality of the Vedana that is conditioned by different sites. So the feeling that it arises is conditioned. It's conditioned by the object that the eyes are seeing. Maybe also other factors, but this one is quite clear. Let us check for hearing. We can close our eyes. We can close the eyes now and pay attention to sounds. When you hear the sound of the fan on the ceiling, is it pleasant or unpleasant or neutral, that sound? And the birds are chirping. How about that one? Is it pleasant, unpleasant or neutral? You didn't create that feeling. It's conditioned because of the birds and because we pay attention or redo conditions, because we have functioning ears, because the bird is calling. Therefore, there can be an experience of hearing and a certain type of feeling. It's highly conditioned. Smelling. You can check whether I can smell anything interesting. But most likely it's rather neutral. Same for tasting, unless we are eating or drinking. The feeling associated with the sense organ is often quite neutral. Not pleasant, nor unpleasant. How about the body? Feeling born of body contact. When you feel the wind as it touches the skin, do you perceive that as pleasant or unpleasant or neutral? It depends. If we are cold already and then we feel the wind, we perceive it as unpleasant. But if you feel quite hot and we feel the wind, oh, then it's good, it's nice, it's pleasant. Again, that feeling, that pleasant feeling of feeling the wind on the skin is conditioned by the body, by the fan or the wind, by us paying attention. If you were pay attention to something different, you would notice it, and you would not experience the pleasant feeling. So attention is another conditioning factor. How about the breath? Pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. Thoughts, thinking. Maybe you have a memory of your grandparents or your grandmother. Maybe a couple of years back when she used to cook, or maybe when you were small, she was spoiling you, treating you well and kindly. Oh, how nice. So that memory might be associated with pleasant feeling. Or maybe there's a sense of sadness. Maybe she has passed away already. Then the memory may be associated with unpleasant feeling. Born of mind contact. Again, that pleasant or unpleasant feeling is conditioned. Number one, by having heard the instruction just now of paying attention to one's grandparents. Without having heard that instruction, most likely that feeling that is associated with the memory would not have arisen. So it's conditioned. Another way of seeing conditionality in regard to feeling is by becoming aware of the process of cognition. For example, for hearing, there's the sense base, the ear faculty. And then there's external objects, sounds, maybe from the street or the birds. And there's hearing consciousness, the consciousness that is directed through attention towards the ear, so hearing consciousness. And only when these three come together, the sense base, the sense object, and the sense consciousness, we call it contact, phassa. And this phassa, the experience of hearing, that is the cause, condition for feeling. Without phassa, without contact, there would be no feeling arising. The same for seeing. Because we have a functioning eye, external objects, light, seeing consciousness, contact. And because of this contact, they're coming together, or of all these factors, feeling will arise, come along. Feeling is not wholesome, feeling is not unwholesome. but it's often the result of past wholesome or unwholesome deeds. It is not unwholesome to have unpleasant feelings. Let me repeat. It is not unwholesome, it's not akusala to have unpleasant feelings. And it's not wholesome necessarily to have pleasant feelings. It can be either way. Wholesome and unwholesome is determined to how we react towards feeling, whether we crave, cling, or have aversion, or whether there's equanimity or wisdom. That's what decides wholesome or unwholesome. Pleasant or unpleasant cannot be avoided. So if you want to see the conditioned nature of feeling, you can always come back to the six senses and realize that certain feelings are born of eye contact, other feelings are born of ear contact, nose, tongue, body, or mind. They are conditioned by that contact. Sometimes one can investigate even deeper and ask oneself, why do I like this? You hear a certain type of music. Why do I like this? Or why do I dislike a certain other type of music? And often there's some conditioning that has happened, maybe many years ago, or maybe even in childhood, that gave rise to certain preferences, likes and dislikes. So these too are conditioned. So whenever we get in contact with something that the mind evaluates as good or pleasant, we have a pleasant feeling. So conditioning is not only in the present moment, but past conditioning also plays a role. What we have picked up from our parents, the values, the preferences, experience in our own life, the books we read, the people we meet, media, they all condition how we perceive things. So in practice, sometimes we can investigate, oh, how come I like this? Or how come I don't like this? Other people don't have the same response. So then we can see the conditioned nature of feeling. Simply being aware of feeling, just observing feeling, is a very good place, Because in this way we can detect early when there's craving or aversion as a reaction. Whereas if we ignore feeling, it's very easy to get carried away by them. Pleasant things I want. Unpleasant things I don't want. There's rejection. But by being mindful of feeling, you're waiting exactly at the point where craving or aversion would come in, and you can detect it immediately and remove it in this way. So it's very useful for the spiritual practice to be mindful of feeling, as well as their conditioned nature. I offer that for your reflection today.